Stand by. Hello and welcome into the Asia Cricket Show. It's me, Andy, and with me, of course, is Indoosan, my co-host. Hi, Indoosan. How's it going?
Hi Andy, how are you?
Yeah, doing well. Just back from the beach.
Oh, yeah.
Looking
Perks of
forward.
living in
Yeah.
Bali.
Wow, got to take the dog for a walk before radio starts, and it was a lovely sunset tonight. So yeah, thanks
Oh,
for
cool, cool, cool.
asking. Anyway, on the show today, we've got a lot to cover. Actually, we've
And
got yeah,
yes, yes. I was so happy because I wanted to start this show with. Did you see that Colin Munro video?
I did because you sent
Yeah.
it to
So
me.
how? Yeah, of course. And I just really don't know, what the ingredient you guys put on when raising people to be that nice. Is there any secret we can learn from New Zealand?
Well, I think before I answer that question, Indusan, you better inform our listeners what actually happened if they didn't see it.
Oh, okay.
So, what made you so excited and connected to that incident? What actually happened, and what did Colin Munro do?
Because this is what because now he's playing for PSL and there's a there's a six goals and there in cricket you have these ball boys who are just outside of the boundary line to just catch the ball and throw it back to the ground. So one ball boy is trying to catch this six and he couldn't catch that ball, right? So then Colin Munro teaches him how to catch that ball with the high catching technique. The very next six goes there, and the boy catches exactly or precisely like how Colin Munro want him to catch, and then he hugs that boy and he lifts him. So both of them are so happy. So does the fans. So does everybody. So does me, and I think so does Andy too.
Yeah, well, it just shows, doesn't it, that whilst these
Yes,
guys
yes.
are whilst these guys are playing, a professional
Mm,
match and there's a lot riding on it,
mm.
there's no reason why they can't do small things like this that that doesn't interrupt the flow of the game or anything.
Yeah,
But
of
it would have made
course.
that kid's day, and imagine him going to school the next day, and everyone would have known what happened. So
Yeah.
yeah, beautiful moment, and I don't know. I don't think it's so much a New Zealand thing. I think it's just probably an individual thing. I can imagine other players doing similar things, but at that particular moment, yeah, well done, Colin Munro, for just going a bit beyond the call of duty.
Mm, mm, mm.
Anyway, we're coming up in the show today. We'll be talking about the PSL a bit later on. We're going to be talking about the Bangladesh tour to Sri Lanka, which started yesterday with the T20 match. We could also probably touch on the Bangladesh Premier League because that finished just a
Mm,
few
mm,
days ago.
mm,
Um,
mm,
of course, in India, we've got the fifth Test match between India and England. That starts
mm.
on Thursday. Uh,
Yes,
as,
milestone test match for both
yeah,
Bairstow and Rashfin.
yes, true. 100 tests for each of them. Of
Mm.
course, the women's Premier League in India is on at the moment, and of course the PSL as well. So, yeah, plenty to talk about. Um, but let's perhaps start. Well, actually, I was just thinking we might just change it up a bit here. Because the
Sure.
Bangladesh Premier League finished on the first or the second, I forget exactly which day it was, and of course, immediately after that, the Bangladesh guys are straight into an international series with with Sri Lanka. But I think what's interesting for me
Yeah.
about the Bangladesh Premier League is because it's on at precisely the same time as Sri Lanka. And maybe this
Mm.
is just purely because of how my Twitter's all set up at the moment. I haven't really followed this tournament, but actually the final in Mirpur between the Camilla Victorians and the Fortune Barasal, um,
Mm.
finished with Fortune Barasal winning. Actually, they won. Well, they won with an over to spare. They were chasing 156. Um, but I was just reading an article about it on Cricket Info, and Barishal's hardly a cricketing stronghold. In fact, I think only one of the squad comes from that area. But as cricket goes these days, you play for whichever team wants you, not necessarily where you're from. And
Yeah, sure.
um, I just read that like Tamim Iqbal, who was the captain of the side, he scored 39 in the final. But chasing that was, he had his best season ever, and you look through that Barishal side. You've got Tamim, you've got Mahady, Kyle Mayers, Mushfika, Mamadula, David Miller. I mean, it's a strong side, and
Very
so
so much international stars, right?
well, that's it, and then you look at the Komala side. I mean,
Mm,
I'm talking about international stars: Sunil
mm,
Narayan, Moeen Ali,
mm.
Andre Russell. In fact, Andre Russell was a guy that actually got Camilla up to a competitive total. He slammed
Of
27 off
course, of
14
course,
balls.
of course.
Um, so yeah, it's a tournament that just, I don't know, it doesn't sort of capture the imagination, at least mine. Unlike other tournaments. And my,
Maybe
my
because
well, my
they
question for you though is: do you think it's healthy having two leagues on at exactly the same time?
no, I mean it's like not that. I would say like it's not ideal. I mean, over the years that you can see this cricket as overly becoming a very broken sport, and people just really like play one league, and then I mean it happens in every league. So perhaps, but at the end of the day, you have like only 12 months of the year. Each cricket board like want to reserve like almost a month for like their league. So I don't know like how much it will be very much practical. So I think you must be very familiar with this, no, Andy, because I mean, in this year, you see that Kyron Pollard has been named in the Mumbai Indians Dubai squad, and he's been part of the South Africa squad as well. So the moment his team got out in South Africa, the very following day, he's been playing in Dubai. So pretty much like I think like it's having too much of leagues also like kind of dilutes the cricket and like all those things. But that's it is that's a reality. So we need to keep it up with it.
Yeah, I just wonder whether one of the leagues could be perhaps played in sort of mid-November, maybe mid-November to mid-December. I know a lot of Test cricket gets played at that time, but
Yep, sure, sure, sure.
it just feels that since the SA League started, I should say.
Hmm.
Since the SA League started. Sorry, one of the dogs was going crazy. Shh, Lucy.
is
Um,
he a BPL fan by?
it's strange. Yeah, normally never barks, so something must be going on outside. But no, I was just going to say since the SA 20 started, and if I'm not mistaken, it started before the end of the BBL,
Yes.
and then you've got the IC the Dubai League and the PSL and the BBL. I mean, I know it's an absolute nightmare for administrators to fit all of these leagues in. Virtually impossible, of course. And I should also add, New Zealand doesn't have a league as such. Yes, there's a 2020 competition that happens at the same time, but New Zealand made the decision that we're just not going to promote it as an international league because it's just going to be impossible. As you say, it'll be diluted. So New Zealand keeps its own 2020 tournament for basically its own players. I forget the last time that an international player played in it. But I just feel a bit sorry for the Bangladeshis that their league, even though they've got all these players that we just mentioned, international stars, just doesn't seem to have the international exposure that perhaps, let's say, the Pakistan Super League has. So for me, that's a little disappointing. And as I say, the final was on the 1st of March, and to be perfectly honest, I wouldn't have actually known to turn the TV on at that time. It barely gets a mention on Cricket Info. You've got to dig around for it. So I just feel that's a little bit sad. But anyway, that's as it is. So anyway, the winners of the Bangladesh Premier League were Barishal this year. So anyway, a few days later, I guess you could say that it was good timing in that sense, because a lot of the players from the final of the Bangladesh Premier League went straight into a T20 series against Sri Lanka, which is going to be followed up by 3 one-dayers and also 2 test matches. So, yeah, just looking at that first match, no doubt you watched it, being a Sri Lankan. A pretty exciting match, actually, in Sylhet. This was just yesterday, of course. Sri Lanka making 206 for 3, and Bangladesh falling 3 runs short of a tie and 4 runs short of a victory. How was the match from your perspective, Indoosan? Hello? Looks like we've just lost Indoosan there, so hopefully he'll be back again. I think he's just going to reconnect. But just looking at that scorecard from that match in Sylhet, so as I mentioned, Sri Lanka was 206 for 3. Big contributions from Kusal Mendes. He made 59. And then Samwak Rama, who touched
Yeah,
upon
Andy,
last
I'm
week.
back.
Yep.
I was able to hear you. But somewhat you couldn't hear me. So that was the issue. I just really watched the match, and Sri Lanka's like starting off without their skipper, and they did fairly well to post the total, and it was like extremely due when Sri Lanka was defending. And that was not helping Matisha Patrana either, because he's slinging arm action and he's been like, putting a lot of wides and runs are like flowing from his 4 overs. But they somehow, the veteran Shanaka was able to hold the nerve and he finished it. So I'm very happy about it.
Yeah, and just when we were speaking on the show last week, and I mentioned that Sadira Samwak Rama hadn't really made too many headlines since the World Cup. But just looking through the scorecard, after Kusal Mendes made that 59 opening, there was a really great partnership actually at the end. Mendes was out with a score at 133. But then
Yes.
Samawak Raman and Asalanka did really, really well. And Samawak Raman making 61 not out. And then Asalanka, 44 off 21 with 6 sixes. Pretty impressive, you'd have to say. It looks like we've just lost Indoosan again. There must be a internet connection issue there. No, he's back
It's
now.
phenomenal. And so there was some disturbance. Sorry about it. Sadira's innings was like constructed around everybody, and perhaps like his anchoring helped Sri Lanka to like put a 200 plus total, because he was holding one end, but he was batting throughout the innings with a good strike rate, and he finished around 120, and he was even in the last death overs he was hitting some boundaries, and he was helping them scoring very good run. Were you able to see the match, Andy?
No, I didn't see it, unfortunately.
All right,
I was watching PSL. Well, this is the
all right,
problem, of course,
all
right?
right.
That there's just too much cricket going on at the same time. I'm not one of these guys who switches channels.
Okay, okay. A very dedicated cricket watcher and all these things. So, like, just tell me something about what happened on PSL, because lately I haven't seen that site, because I'm just following this plus the WPL. So you should give me the PSL updates.
Yeah, happy to. I mean, it's well past the halfway mark now in the PSL. and
Okay.
I guess there's a couple of standout things at the moment. Um, if you just look at the table, for example, the points table in the PSL. Sorry, I'm just trying to bring the table up to remind myself. So you've got Multan Sultans are on top of on the top of the table, and basically have been the whole tournament. They've played one more match.
Mm.
Yes, they've got 12 points, but
Mm.
they've played 7 fixtures, and they've got a really excellent net run rate as well. I mean, they're more than one net run rate, so they're flying basically. They've only lost once. Quetta Gladiators, they played one less match and they're on 9. But the quirk of the PSL is that there's only 6 sides, so and they have semi-finals and finals. So in
Mm.
some ways, you're not really too focused on the top of the table.
Mm.
You're a bit more
Mm.
focused on the bottom of the table. And at the bottom, Lahore Qalandars, they've only well, they haven't they've had a washout. I think they've got a no result, I should say. So they've got 1 point, and then above them is the Karachi Kings, who've got 4. So
Mm.
Karachi have still got a chance of making it into the semi-finals, whereas Lahore, they've finished for the season, and they've been bitterly disappointing. It has to be said, particularly given that they've got the likes of Shane Shah Afridi and Harris Ralph on their side. Um,
Yeah, of course, and even Sikandar Raza plays for that team, right?
yeah, so I mean
Mm.
they've got the players, but they just haven't performed this year.
Mm.
But on the other hand, look at someone like Peshawar who've played 7, won 3, lost 3, and had one no result. And of course, their captain is Baba Azam, and he's the leading run scorer in the PSL at the moment. He's got 330 runs. Next best is Rassi van der Dusen, um, who's got 330 runs. Um, and in fact, Rassi plays for Lahore, so it's not like Lahore hasn't got good players. But Peshawar's coming fourth at the moment in the league. But yeah, the real standout is Multan Sultans. Just with their, with their points on the table, I guess, and they're captained by. Uh, um, God, sorry, his name just escapes me at the moment. He's my
No
favourite.
problem.
He's my favourite cricketer as well.
Of course,
Oh
because
my,
I know that.
yeah. Oh my goodness, Mohammed Rizwan. um, and they've had a great tournament. As I say, their net run rate is 1.133. The next best is Islamabad United with 0.337. So that they're streets ahead at the moment, and
Mm.
they also won the top of the table clash with Quetta last week. So that they're going well, and one of the reasons why they're going so well is you just have to look at who's taken the wickets. In the initial games, it was Muhammad Ali, who's their right arm fast bowler. Uh, he was having an astonishing run in terms of economy and wickets, and he's the second leading wicket taker in the PSL with 14. But also Osama Mir is now the leading wicket taker. He's got 15 wickets from his 7 matches. So the next best after that is Abra Ahmed from Quetta. So if you look at
Mm.
it in that sense, when the two leading wicket takers in the PSL are both from the same team, I guess it's no surprise that Multan's on top. And that's despite Rizwan actually not. Rizwan hasn't been in great form in this tournament, but they keep getting the results. And I think it's a credit to Rizwan's captaincy, and in fact in their last match, which was 2 days ago, they beat the Karachi Kings comfortably. Multan made 189.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Multan made 189 for 3, which was dominated by Usman Khan, who made 106 not out off 59 balls, so a strike rate of virtually 180. Rizwan also got runs; he got 58. And then they limited the Karachi Kings to 169 for 7. And you just look through some of those bowling figures. Osama Mir only going for 29 off his overs. Kustal Shah did really well. He got 1 for 16 off three. So they've just got a really balanced attack, and they're
Yeah,
not.
I mean, like, these figures are like gold, right? With the context of the very flat Pakistani wickets and the 200 plus runs, which is quite often posted there. This looks like gold.
Yeah, well, the matches have moved to Karachi now, and not Islamabad, Rawalpindi, I should say. So yeah, so there's been a bit of a change because at the start of the tournament, the first 10 matches or so were all played in either Multan or Lahore. So there's four venues for the tournament. But yeah, just on Multan's bowling attack, I mean it's very well balanced. You've got David Willey, Muhammad Ali, Chris Jordan, Usama Mir. So you've got some really excellent bowlers there. So yeah, no surprise to see Multan on top, and yeah, magnificent knock 2 days ago by Usman Khan, making 106 not out, batting at number three. I think possibly the only other talking point that I keep coming back to in the PSL, and everything related to Pakistan cricket actually, is there just hasn't really been any people emerging in this tournament to be a middle order player for Pakistan in T20 cricket. And you look at someone like Iftikhar Ahmed, who's a regular in the side, and he just isn't making any runs. So the Pakistan concern that they have leading into the World Cup, bearing in mind it's still quite a way away, is who's going to bat in the middle order. And I did another show on Sunday, a PSL specific show, and
Hmm.
the guys were saying then it's just like we're no clearer on what our middle order is going to be, and probably we're going to be in exactly the same situation as we were for the New Zealand series, which is basically having four openers in the team because there's just no one else. So you've got Rizwan, Baba, Fakhar Zaman, and Saim Ayub probably going to be the top four because there's just no one else coming through for the middle order. So
Hmm.
yeah, but so Multan Sultan's on top in the PSL, and I'm not really expecting too much to change from now on. But anyway, let's move on from that, and let's. You've been following a bit of the WPL. Um,
Yes, I do. I do.
yeah,
Uh,
bring us up to speed on what's happening in the women's game.
so WPL is going well, and the funny thing is, like, pretty much like the PSL, they also, like, they have very much limited teams. So they have like five teams, and out of the five teams, one team, that Gujarat Giants, haven't won a single game yet. Four played, four lost. They have, like, 0 points. And the top three teams, the DC, Mumbai, and RCB, they all are in 6 points each other, but the run rate is kind of like keeping them away from each other. And then UP Warriors is with 4 points. So some interesting things happen. So I just wanted to share that. Lisa Healy confronted somebody, a pitch invader, solely by herself. This happened like in a couple of days back. And yesterday, Elsie Perry has hit a six, and that kind of like broke the window of a car, which is like kept as a marketing, this one for as a branding exercise in the brand, in the ground. And that was like, that window was broken by her. So these are like some funny things happened there. And Meg Lanning is playing well. And yesterday, Chamaria Tapatu got a horrendous DRS.
Talk us through it.
That and she was given out where the ball should be completely going out of the wicket. It just came as going in, and it just really hit the wicket. So that's how the women's team is going on. They're playing at each other, and they're playing in two venues. The Bangalore leg is almost finished, and for Delhi and all, it's already finished. And they are moving from Bangalore to Delhi now. And in Delhi, they will be playing the second leg and they'll play these playoffs and they will play the finals and they will finish it off.
Just sorry,
So
just going back to that DRS. Sorry, you just cut out for a second. So are you saying that the trajectory of the ball was in one direction, but then DRS showed it in a different direction?
exactly, even the it was appealed against Chamariyatapattu, and it was bowled by an RCB bowler, and their captain Smiti Mandana, the bowler, and everybody, even Eliza Healy lost her cool. She was like going to the umpire and say, like, you serious? I mean, that's how I heard the lip movement, and she lost her cool yesterday. And Chamari couldn't believe, no one could believe it because the balls, it was like a mirroring. You just keep a mirror, it will show no, that the left side is shown as right on mirror. That was precisely like mirror, and no one
Wow.
could believe it. But that's what it is. That's what it is because technology is flawed. We understand that, but that's the only thing which is available. So there were so many things going on. Perhaps this is a women's game, so nobody actually want to blow this up as it should have been other way if it is a men's game in India.
Well,
But
well, no doubt it would have got more coverage if it had been a men's game.
yeah, of course, of
That's just
course.
a fact because more people would have been watching it. But it's a real concern. I mean, I didn't see the incident, and I haven't seen it other than what you've just told me. But it's starting to become a real issue now. I've had concerns about DRS for a while, not for the reasons of the trajectory being wrong, but just I'm not convinced that Snicko, as they call it in Australia, or Ultra Edge, where they might call it somewhere else. I'm not convinced that's accurate either. Um, but this issue of the ball not going in the direction that it was actually on, that's a real
Hmm.
concern. And I mean, I'm not a techie guy at all, but this is all based on lines of code and stuff. So I mean, who knows whether the you know the technology behind it hasn't got a flaw in it somewhere. So I really
It
hope
could be.
the powers that be are actually having a really good look at their technology now.
Hmm.
I don't agree with what Michael Vaughan said, by the way, that there should be cameras in the DRS studio. That's just a ridiculous idea. But
I mean,
but
is he speaking this kind of thing just to be on the limelight? Because sometimes I have this doubt too.
um, well, let's put it this way. Michael Vaughan blocked me on Twitter about 10 years ago
Oh my God, that was
because
a long time back. Okay.
yeah, but that was just simply because he just seems to be one of those guys that wants to comment on every single thing, and it's probably a good juncture to move on to another comment that I read from him
Hmm.
the other day, and whether he actually said it or not is a matter of, I don't know. I just saw him quoted. Okay, so anyone can make up a quote from anyone, right? But the quote that I saw, and I'm prefacing this by the fact that I didn't see it directly from him. He went on to say that he thought England had been the better team in the current India England series well, they looked better, I think was the word he used. Um, well, I think every other single person on the planet knows that's not true. So yeah, maybe Michael, just says these things just so he stays, in the public consciousness. But anyway, moving on to the England India series. One match to play in Dharamshala starts on Thursday. England, of course, 3-1 down in the series. They'll be desperately hoping to
No
win it.
moral trophies. No moral trophies either.
Yeah, I don't think so. But no, they'll be well, if they win the last match, maybe it will be a moral victory. But I mean, first of all, from what I've read so far and heard about Dharamshala, it's unseasonably wintry there at the moment. It looks like it's going to be very cold. Apparently, it's been raining a lot, and I read on a BBC article today that England's considering going in with three pace bowlers, which seems a bit bizarre. But yeah, maybe England's just caught a stroke of luck going into this match with conditions that might, bring them into the match a little bit more.
could be because as you see that uh, as you correctly pointed out, the climatic conditions and Dharamshala, it's also a kind of a pitch where the quicker bowlers kind of get some advantage. But lately, because I mean, I'm taking a leaf out of this Australia in New Zealand series. No one could have been thought like Glenn Phillips would be having 5 wickets and Nathan Lyon would be like running through New Zealand lineup. So I don't know because the modern day cricket has been so much evolved, so much changed. So these narratives of like dropping a bowler, going with the quicks. I don't know how much this is relevant till date. But I mean, still you can go with England's narrative because their spinners are kind of like less experienced, and route can be handy at times. So why not experiment that?
Hmm. Well,
I mean,
I just
if it
just
is work,
see.
it works like their best ball.
Yeah. Well, just speaking of Joe Root, there's a quote here on Crick Info. I think it's just been published now. Uh, Root basically says, "Don't." He's talking about Ashwin, of course, who's playing his 100th Test this week, and Joe Root says, "Don't play the previous ball." Um, and what that suggests to me is that Ashwin's just such a crafty, clever bowler that he just puts doubt in the batsman's mind the whole time. Um, but from an Asian perspective, I'm sure you've watched Ashwin play a hell of a lot more than I have. What do you make of Ashwin as a player? Well, let's say
I
as
mean,
a bowler, actually. I mean, he's obviously
absolute.
yeah. What do
Uh,
you make of him? I mean, we're sort of blessed at the moment to have Nathan Lyon, who's a great off spin bowler. Now we've got
definitely,
Ashwin as
definitely.
well. What
We are
what do you make of
privileged
the
to see
two?
them. Yeah, we are privileged to see both of them together. And I think if you want me to speak about Ashwin, I can speak for a whole show because like he's a legend, an absolute legend, as you said, very crafty. And I don't see another modern day bowler who remodeled his action so much like Ashwin because he's thinking so much. And the way that I just want to like to take you back in during the COVID time. England came to Sri Lanka and played two test matches at goal, and then they went to India to play 5 test matches or 4 test matches. I forgot. Like this is in 2021, right? And the goal pitches bowling, and he was constantly messaging Russell Arnold because they know each other very well about is it like the pitch, how does that goes, how does this goes, and everything. So he was studying the pitch, and he was studying the movement of Joe Root and everybody because while he should be on holiday and playing for something. And the second thing I said, like, when the Border Gavaskar trophy that India won it for the second time with the Gaba Bridge, he particularly planned and executed against Steve Smith. So he know that he's a very, very important wicket and he got it. So he might be playing an international cricket tomorrow. There he might be playing a TNPL game, or he might be playing something else, a domestic game or anything, because he's hungry for like more games. He's hungry for like being able to dominate it. Perhaps he has a small feeling inside him that on the crucial moments India kind of like drop him and go with the quicks, but like I would say like he should be a permanent feature on Indian cricket team, and the way he plots and plans against batters against especially the left-handers was phenomenal. So he's a modern day legend. As you said, we are so privileged to see him, and I'm a big fan of him too. So I'm waiting to see him doing that. And lately, he was having some personal emergencies, and I'm happy that everything just resolved and he came. Now 500 wickets, 100 Test match. My God, he's a legend.
Mm. And of course, the other guy playing his 100th Test is Johnny Bairstow, and
Mm.
I read today that he made his debut in 2012, and since then he for whatever reason, being injured or out of form or just not in favour with the selectors, he's missed 51 Test matches. That's a huge number of Test matches to miss out. But it's almost like in the latter few years, he's become an institution in the England side, whether it's as a wicketkeeper batsman or as a pure batsman. But he really hasn't performed well in this series. But you sort of get the feeling with Bairstow, just the type of character he is, that in his 100th Test, and with England having a good chance to get some more respectability for this series and try and get a 3-2 result, I just have a sneaky suspicion Bairstow's going to pull out something special for this game, because that's just the type of guy he is.
He is, because other man, like, because lately he's having a lot of controversies, especially that, the loud stumping and, the, I don't know whether you have seen the teaser of this test, because the way that he argued with Australians in the lunchroom, so with Warner and all these things. So, I mean, but he's been going through a lot, as you said, like, 51 test match missing is like, it's huge, and mostly he was considered as a white ball specialist until I think 2019 World Cup, perhaps. Maybe they wanted to manage the workload with him, so they were not giving much test matches to him, and England was like doing test matches until, like, for some time. Perhaps now he's a permanent feature in the England cricket team. And when the basketball was started in 22 and 20, I think 22, he was doing good. He chased down against India. He chased down matches against New Zealand. So he's good. So we hope that he will come back, and if he pulls up something big in the Mashala on his 100th match, that would be so memorable. So love to see him. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and just one final thing, because I'm just having a look at the stats for the series at the moment. You know, the thing that stands out more than anything else is this series that Yashashvi Jaiswal's had. He scored 655 runs. The next highest run scorer in this series is Shubman Gill with 342. Jaiswal's averaging 93.57. I mean, it's just phenomenal, really. And I know he's very close to breaking the record for the most runs in a home series, which I think is held by Sonny Gavaskar at the moment. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how Jaiswal goes in this last match, and what a player he's become, and what a find he has been for India. I really, really can't wait to see how he goes on Thursday. I hope he goes really, really well.
I hope so. I hope so, because India's been struggling for a left-hander for a long time. I think if you could just see even their World Cup lineup is full and fully, until Jadeja comes. They are like full of right-handers. So he's like gold for them, and he has delivered in big time. He's been playing all formats perfectly. So hopefully, like, he can pull something good, and so it will be like good, because if he gets a good century, and if Bairstow gets a good century, and if Ashwin performs well, it will be like all good for the cricket fans. And I'm for it. I'm for it.
Absolutely. Oh, well, Indoosan, thanks very much for joining me once again here on the Asian Cricket Show. It was a pleasure to talk to you. And for all of you out there, fans of Global Cricket Radio, we'll be back with the Asia Cricket Show same time next week. Catch